Hello, lovely people. This is a lovely Sunday, like between morning and lunchtime. And we are very happy to have Timo Bolte with us from the UK, who is going to tell us about some bold and beautiful things that he is up to, and a really cool, flower that was actually just named after him that you can see in his background. And we were just like, whoa, what is this? And like immediately noticed that these are his flowers. So thank you so much for joining us, Timo. Great to have you
Hello, thank you
here.
for having me.
Wonderful.
I'm really happy because I got this delivery yesterday morning for the first time. So the first time I saw them was a few weeks, a month ago in the glass house when there were only like 20 plants, and now I'm so happy to have the full bouquet now with me.
Yes, they look really cool. Maybe just give maybe where we start is give people a little bit a background of who is Timo Bolte and how did he get into floral design. I think you have a very interesting story, and also your growth is quite interesting for people who maybe also right now are doubting whether it is the right thing that they are doing, and maybe like just need some sort of inspiration. So what is possible from where you started and where you are right now? And then obviously, I mean, the flower that was named after you, it's a huge honor. I think so. You can maybe just tell us a little bit more about how this all came about.
Yeah, well, this is absolutely the icing on the cake, but I have quite a long story. I hope you guys have time for it.
Yes, we
Because
do.
I have.
Yes, we do.
So where should you go? So it's the same everywhere. I'm so kind of sick of all the what's sad stories like COVID-19 here. This is here. It's all the sad stories. So I want to give some positive vibes and positive because not everything is bad. It's a time of renewal, of new chances, new possibilities. But let's get back to work. I'm Timo. I'm based in London. I'm working in the events industry now. I'm doing a lot of weddings and events in the Middle East and some teaching, schooling workshops in Far East Asia. But that's for what I do right now. So if we go back, it's like I started to working with flowers more than 20 years ago by the age of 10.
You are not looking that old when I can
You
just
are
say that.
21,
Yeah.
so how can
When
you do
you
that?
started actually working, like,
No, that's called beauty mode. It's reducing all the gray hair. But no. Now I was working on Saturdays in the nursery by the age of 10 for 2 hours because I was not allowed to do more. Because I had a small garden at home, and whenever I was working in the garden, every Saturday I went in the garden center buying new plants or seeing what's new or anything. And I was talking to the other customers, and once the owner came along, was like, "Guy, if you are so smart and telling everybody like everything you know, why don't you work here?" I was like, "Well, I could." And so I did. So every Saturday I went there for two hours, taking care about the
Wow.
plants, watering them, helping them where I could. That was 20 years ago. And then I did my job, education at Gregor Loesch for 3 years.
okay.
So this is where my floristry passion began. And after I went to Tübingen in the Botanic Garden to see actually where the plants are from, to understand their origin, to see why they are growing like they are growing, to understand all this. From there, I went to Japan to work in Tokyo for 1 year. I was working in a flower shop, and then I went to Austria, starting in the events industry. So we did all the events in Vienna, and so this is where my passions really grow for events and big scale events and flower arrangements. Until I moved to London 1.5 years ago, starting my own company, and yeah, here I am now.
Wonderful. Tell us maybe a little bit of your time in Tokyo, because I think the Japanese people in basic have a totally different connection to flowers, like even different from Europe and America, and I like would say totally different from here what we have in Africa. So they almost like have a like a personal feeling to the flowers. right?
Absolutely. For them, this is like the holy grail, is like religion. Flowers is the absolute top of their culture. So everybody is seeing plants as really cultural asset and really taking care of them. And I was lucky. I moved there to show them Western style floristry, but of course, I had a big passion for Ikebana. I was lucky. I was living next to the Ikebana school, so every day I was sneaking in the window, looking what they have done. But I never really understood this art craft they are doing. You really have to study it to learn it, to understand it. So I just try to understand the basics for me, just to understand what they are doing and talking about. But this is really like the best for them, and the highest level you can reach is
Yeah, yeah.
Ikebana and the flowers. And they also have a very, very big passion for chrysanthemum. But they
Yeah,
love the really big ones, the beautiful autumn ones. They have really beautiful assortment. But
I
yeah,
always wonder like what they do with just a few flowers, and like where everybody else needs a heap of a flower, like number of flowers, and to make something out, and they can just have like a handful of flowers, and they make the most beautiful things out of that. So this is
because
really
they
like
are
kind of art.
showing full respect, the line, the leaves, every single
Yeah.
detail. So they don't need the volume, the mass. They have more the respect for the single individual flower. And what I really love is the cherry blossom festival, because for
Oh,
them the cherry blossom is not only it's beautiful and the whole city is pink, and this concrete pink is a really nice mix. For them, the cherry blossom is the perfection of life. So when it's in full bloom, it's just falling apart. It's not wilting or anything. It's just beautiful and then disappearing. And this is how they imagine their perfect life. And I really like
wonderful.
this idea.
Philosophy behind it.
Yeah,
I think that
yeah.
is
Absolutely.
what a lot of people can also learn from, that are just like using flowers sometimes. I would call it sometimes a bit heartless, like not really valuing the flower as such, but just using it to make something out of it, but not to see that there have been also a lot of hands like going through it, like from the farms to deliver it to the place where it needs to go. Like it's so many steps that are required to have a beautiful bloom, that I think that this is really something that a lot of people should maybe take just like on themselves to think about, okay, we have a flower, but how many steps were necessary to get to this beautiful bloom?
What I really like, they have this present, which is not like a rose bouquet. It's a box with a single rose. So they have a whole different holders, so it can't move the position. Every leaf is in a perfect shape, and they're really presenting the just one box with one rose, but perfectly treated, so nothing can happen during transport. So it's just
Wow.
really the pure respect of the single individual flower, and this is really something we really could learn of.
Incredible, yeah.
Wonderful.
So then take us like from this time, like where you got also inspired and you opened your base in the UK, to now like having received yesterday a box of Timo Bolte chrysanthemums. Like what is this?
Maybe
What is
can
the
you show us
feeling?
like
Or
one
maybe can you
flower
take us
closer
one-
to the camera?
We saw
Maybe
it on
just
your-
one flower.
Yeah, we saw it on your Instagram, but like just maybe that people who haven't seen it can see also the shape, and I think it's very special. And
Yeah.
yes,
Ah, yeah.
yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it talks volumes, I think, also about your character, because I think this is also why the grower has chosen you as an ambassador basically for that variety, right? Tell us a little bit more about this variety.
It was quite fun. So we went there. I'm ambassador of the Flower Fundamentals, which brings florists and growers together and inspire everyone, and just to connect the growers and the florists to have a directly exchange. So we had one shooting for one of the magazines in Aalsmeer, and we went to Deca Chrysanthemum. And they were showing us the fields with the new test varieties, and I came in, and up on the door I saw this one chrysanthemum in the end of the field. So I went straight to this one and was, oh, this is so beautiful, this is so beautiful, I love it. So what's the name? I want to order it. And they were like, no, it's not on the it's not on the market yet. It's just a number. We only have those 20 stems you can see here. I was like, oh no, this is so sad because I really love them. I want them. So what's the name it's going to get? They were like, there is no name yet. I was like, oh, that's a good coincidence because I don't have a flower yet.
Oh.
And Vaya was like, oh, this is actually a quite good idea. So we went back to the marketing guy and we're like, okay, actually Teal want to be named a name patron for this flower. And he was like, well, there's different criteria. It has to be international known. So Vaya was like, he's working international, that's working. So then you have to have a connection to the name, to the flower. She was like, yeah, he's working with this flower, that's working. And so we went through all the criteria and in the end was like, okay, yeah, let's try.
Okay,
So I was allowed to give my name to this flower, but then we had to find a grower to produce them. So not only to give them the names, then we had to find growers producing them because we need big quantities to go on the market with them.
Yes.
And 1 month ago, she was like, Timo, you know what? In 4 weeks, we are on the market with your flower.
Oh, wow.
And now I have
Oh, yeah.
the
It's
first,
like a
the
baby
first
actually that
delivery.
is born.
Yes, absolutely.
It's your baby.
So what style ideas do you have? Like now that you have it at home, like what you want to make out of those flowers?
Definitely, I have them now for all my online appearances. So I always have them see the product placement. And of
Yes.
course, what I see always in uncertain times, people are always thinking back about the old golden ages, about the better times. So in safe times, you always go for really crazy techniques, crazy materials, everything new. But whenever something is more uncertain, you think back, so old recipes, thinking back to family, thinking back your origins, going back to the farm style, rustic, something like this. And so this is also something I will follow with this chrysanthemum, like really traditional way, not too crazy techniques, really back to the roots, back to the basics, because this is something which is going to be a big trend in the coming weeks or months, that people are always thinking back also in the recipes. What I've heard from my family in Austria, there is kale. They never sold so much kale than now. Everybody is baking bread. So everybody is doing all the things they've learned from grandma is coming back now.
Yeah. Definitely. Even we started actually trying making croissants. It did not work out so well.
But we tried.
Yeah, the bread was better, actually. I can say the bread was much better. So, I mean, even that is the best information because you rather need bread than croissants, like it's a bit decadent.
But obviously, people are spending much more time at home these days.
Yeah.
I think that is just a general situation, whether we like it or we don't like it, but it's just a matter of fact that we are staying at home and we just have much more time to actually also take time for things maybe which we usually wouldn't take. Like it's so easy to go to the shop to buy stuff, I mean,
well, but you also could go to the supermarket, buy some exotic fruits and try molecular kitchen. None of you ever is trying molecular kitchen in these times. You're making bread which is back to the roots. Because molecular kitchen could also feed you. You could make some special fruit caviar in the soil also, but you're not doing it. You're making bread back to the origins.
Yeah.
Tell me, when you have been like around the world for so much, what inspires you in your designs? Is it traveling? Is it like different cultures, or what is it that you, when you do something, like inspires you to do the job?
Absolutely, the people and the culture, but for me the most important is architecture. So when, that's why I can't really define my style, because I don't try to put my style in a room or in a project. I try to put the architecture and the story in my design. So, for example, when I was in Vienna and we have these beautiful ceiling paintings, these big sculptures, this really Baroque style, I tried to make my design much more Baroque. Then when we were in Japan, I tried to make it much more minimalistic, much more reduced, much more line orientated. So I always try to take some of the key elements of the architecture, or is it like the light is falling in, or is it like some stages I used, or some blogs or so, I try to take these ideas and transform it to the flowers. So the most inspiring for me is architecture. If I'm in the Middle East and I've seen, for example, these beautiful Moroccan windows, these ornamental pattern parts, I try to make the design much more pattern orientated rather than the big volume of one flower. So more like really detailed works.
Mhm.
So I think this
That's
is much more inspiring for me. So yeah, I absolutely architecture.
Okay, that's very nice. But can I go back one step to the chrysanthemums? Because for a lot of like floral designer, chrysanthemum, yeah, exactly. For a lot of floral designer, chrysanthemum is a no-go flower. I mean, honestly, like we were also talking about that. But this one is a very special one, and I think that also opens doors for floral designer that have not used chrysanthemums before, where you would say a chrysanthemum can actually like be placed beautifully,
Shine best.
and what do you want to combine it maybe with?
Uh, you can use everything wherever you want. Of course, there is always cultural background you have to think about. So, like China, the white is for sadness and something like this. But chrysanthemum does not has to be funeral or sad or old-fashioned flower. I had a time some years ago. I was using loads of carnation. No one was using carnations because they were so old-fashioned. I was like, one more reason for me to use the carnations. And now I have the time of saying chrysanthemum is not an old-fashioned flower. You can go really fashionable and modern with it. And I'm working with loads of hotels all the time. So we have some workshops in the Four Seasons. And for example, I really want to make a really nice lobby decoration in the Four Seasons, like the full lobby full of this chrysanthemum. I can't imagine something really more beautiful and more elegant. And once we have put it on a luxury pedestal and brought it out of the shadows to put it in a luxury segment, people are going to follow it.
Wonderful. I like this idea. And also when you say carnations, I mean, like we all had this idea, like, or this feeling like carnations and chrysanthemums, these are old fashioned like flowers, and we didn't want to actually touch them anymore. But also with the very new colors and shapes of the carnations, I mean, they are incredible and they are amazing. Even these new colored carnations, we have
Absolutely.
used them just recently on a teal and mustard wedding, and we couldn't believe we had a teal and mustard carnation, and the people were mad about this. Actually, every guest was like, wow, where is this from? What is this actually? And nobody could really believe this is a carnation. So you can, like, by incorporating these flowers into like arrangements in a nice and spectacular way, you can really make big waves on your event.
Absolutely. So we had a workshop in Romania, and we had one room and we used only dyed flowers all over. We had a table run and we had the flowers a bit higher. We only had dyed colored flowers. And people, when they arrived, people were like, oh no, oh, how can you? We had blue, dyed everything. And was like, how can you? Was like, you will see, you will see. But we had this beautiful painting again in the ceiling. And we took all the single elements of these colors, and we had them as a flower down there, and we made a beautiful arrangement, and it was apparently the favorite room of all the students with the dyed flowers, even if all of them were like, how can you, when the flowers arrived. And also yeah, how can I say it? Bradley was not the very big fan in the very beginning, and we had another shooting with the flower fundamentals, and we went actually to the Van Koning, the Koning, who are at the filing, who's dyeing the flowers. And he had one blue chrysanthemum. Everybody was like, oh no, a blue the big one, the blue chrysanthemum. And then he was showing us how he made it blue. Then he was showing us how he snowed it. Then he was showing us how he glittered it. So we had a big dark blue snowed glittered chrysanthemum in the end.
Cool.
And Alison was like, go away with it, go away with it. I'm not putting it in my magazine. And I was like, deal. Deal. And I made a cover for her for the magazine. So I put made a big wig out of it, and she put it on the cover of her magazine because she fell in love with them. And she was like, you know what, you've been right. I just saw this flower and I didn't see the opportunities. Or if I, for example, I'm a very big fan of the blue striped cymbidium, the blue-white striped. I don't see the cymbidium as a cymbidium. I see it as a design ornament. So if I see, for example, a Ming vase from China, if I see porcelain from the Netherlands, if I see those beautiful wall things in Portugal, and if I put those flowers on the table, it's just a perfect match. So why can't I just use it? So if the product itself can be really weird. We had once a brown dyed, really brown dyed carnation. Everybody was like, oh no, how can you? But we made a very big teddy bear who was standing on the boat. And it was the best material I could ever find for, because it looked so fluffy and so real, like a real teddy bear, but it was the carnation. So it's not, if you see the product, you have to be open and just accept the challenge, and you can make something really beautiful out of everything, even if you're not used to it in the very first case. But just open the box and think, what's the opportunity I have now?
Yeah.
You still can say, I'm the classical florist. I don't touch dye. I don't like all this. I don't like transform things. But on the other side, the flowers we have now in the vase also have been transformed before. They are not like this out of the garden or out of the forest. Those chrysanthemums are not growing like this out there. The roses we have in our gardens are not the original ones. So there is always a part of transformation gone before. Just because the strict florists are used to it now would have been different 50 years ago in the same opinion. So there's always some changes and some opportunities.
I think also, like, the word flower designer and florist has two different meanings. And I think, like, a traditional florist may not like those colored flowers or dyed flowers, but a floral designer, they run with the wealth of opportunity that they can actually get right now to just create more art than just a bouquet or just an arrangement, and just to use it much more as an art piece by the end of the day, as a tool to create something really very special, and not a traditional bouquet, for example.
But I also think it took us here quite a little while when we came with the first dyed flowers. I mean, I also was a bit scared to offer that, but I just liked it. You know, I just liked it, because when I saw these brownie tulips, I thought, wow, what a great, actually, like,
texture,
you know. And we offered this actually to one of our wholesaler, and she said, no, we don't want to have that. Nobody will actually buy it. Then we put it actually out on our web shop and on our Instagram. And actually the world went crazy. Not even in a day, we sold, I don't know, a couple of hundreds of this. And when, like, a couple of weeks later, a couple of weeks later, the wholesaler came back to me and said, do you still have these brownie tulips? You know, like that.
I have so many friends. They were like, so many friends were like, no, I don't touch it. But this brown tulips and this sweet peas, those grayish brownish ones, they're really lovely. It was like, okay, what's the difference now? Because this is also dyed, and this is like, but the color is not so intense. I was like, but this is your choice about the color, that you do not intense colors, but it's still a dyed product. So, and also when I was thinking back now, and my grandma, when she had all the dried flowers in her living room hanging, was like, And
Yeah,
now
I
this
remember there
morning
was a time when I
I
was
saw
a
this
child.
zero waste on Instagram. I was like, this is amazing. What
Yeah,
opportunities there are. They are so nicely dried. It's like I
exactly.
directly ordered them because I really want to work with them now. It's like a change in my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say I remember like these days when I was a child as well, and I mean that's even a little bit longer than you was a child. We couldn't get so many fresh flowers at a time, and I remember there were straw flowers all over because they lasted. You could get them all over, and people were just like finished with that. You know, they didn't want to see them anymore. And just like recently, when I saw like couple of farms here also around us were growing these straw flowers, and I was like, I don't know, I have this, like, you know, this feeling like from 40 years back, you know. But then I decided actually to offer them to the clients, and it's like a boom, you know, like they say, oh wow, they're so gorgeous, they have such a nice texture. Sometimes you also have to overcome your own like feelings, what you actually like feel for a flower for whatever reason, actually, like many years back. That's also something I think is a very interesting situation what we have right now. And
I think it's the same with carnations.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone who grew up in Germany or somehow, like, you know, like many years ago, they have a totally different feeling towards carnations, maybe also in the communist countries, than like maybe anyone else somewhere like else in the world, because
Yeah.
it was just very tied to a very political ideology and thinking. So the carnation is not the fault of the carnation, you know. And I mean, it has so many really amazing features, like it's very long lasting. You can really use it in completely different ways, but sometimes you have a feeling inside, you're like, but by the end of the day, it's not the fault of the flower.
No.
Absolutely
That's
no.
right.
And it's depending how we're using it. Mostly people don't see what it's been. And I'm in close contact with many event professionals, and everybody says now is the time for change. Now is the time for rethink, and now it's the time to create something and to go online. Absolutely, because at the moment everybody is at home. Everybody is doing online research. Everybody is looking what could be after, and so my advice for everybody who's just listening right now: make sure that your Instagram looks good, that your homepage is in a good condition. Maybe there is something, and maybe there are some webinars also you can attend. Just do something for yourself.
What is Gary Vee saying?
You just have to be out there, and
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
that's why we have basically come up also with this to give something also back to people, you know, and to keep like a very high spirit to people during this time. And that's why we also appreciate your time being online. And I also think online is going to be for a very long time our new normality, because we do not know when events are going to happen again, in which shape, in which form. How many guests can attend the wedding? Will it be only, I don't know, 10 guests maybe that will be allowed, 50, 100? When will this be? So it's very, very uncertain. And I think florists have the possibility and the option to make some money and to support their families with offering things that have not necessarily something to do with events. So I do think specifically for South Africa, people need to take the chance, and they need to like try to go out there, even if they feel maybe in the beginning, wow, I want to be a wedding florist, normal bouquets are not my thing. But you just have all the tools there, you know. I mean, whether you are making a bride happy, like to have a beautiful bridal bouquet, or whether you are making something for a birthday for I don't know, a neighbor of yours, doesn't really matter at the moment. I think everyone needs to work on its creativity and just like get the ball rolling on
And
the online.
that's the biggest source we have, because my year was packed. You remember when we were in Dubai? Actually, if we've been in Dubai together in March. I told you the week after I would have been in Kuwait. I never flew because 3 days later the borders were closed. But what we have creativity. And this is our chance to do something new, to do something unique, like these online things, like online sales. I am working now on a perfume collection, a room aroma
Wow.
therapy.
Wonderful.
Because I can't travel, doing now. Well, it's not online now. Hopefully next week or the week after, I do now online classes in very
Yeah, I
short.
just wanted to say, actually, this is also a second possibility what florists can do to share their knowledge and
Absolutely.
to let either like colleagues participate or even public. I mean, there's so many people out there. They would love to learn how to treat a flower or how to make an arrangement themselves, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. To teach like also like public basics what they can do.
No, the knowledge is the only thing which grows when you spread it.
Yes.
So if you
That's
don't
nice.
keep it for yourself, you have to give something to make it more. And this is the only
Wow, I
way
love that.
you can grow and the people can grow. And you're not building competition. You're just building authority, because people understand that you are professional and you are strong enough to share it.
Timo, I love you for that you said
Yes.
that, because this is really something that we like told like for years already, everyone, and it takes so much time sometimes to get through to people, particularly in our industry, which is quite highly competitive. To like people are very like not or very much not about cooperation and sharing. And this is also what a lot of colleagues telling us, like why are you doing this, why are you sharing with people, because we believe that this is the only way how we can do and how we can move on, because the better everyone is educated, the easier we work in our industry. Then we don't have to explain like how to treat flowers to everyone, because they all know that. So this is actually
Absolutely.
the easiest
And
thing.
also, I really believe strongly in collaboration. There's nothing stronger in collaboration. Even if you have someone from the same industry, if you both work together, you only can be stronger. For example, I really often I work with other flower shops or other event designers. They have a flower shop or a team already, and I just go there and work with them. We're not working against each other. We're not competing. We're just doing the best of everything, and it's just for the client, for the
Yes, for the
result.
best
Yes.
result. I think
Yeah.
it is like how you should see it. It's you working towards the best end result for the client. And I think also specifically like with floral designers, I mean, you cannot do mostly things on your own. You need a team. You need people to work with. Like, I mean, you do weddings like also in the Middle East for hundreds of people. I mean, you cannot stand there alone as Timo Bolte and like do a whole wedding on your own. It's just simply not possible. Even if you wanted to, logistically, it's just not going to happen. So
And
you
it's not
need
necessary.
people
You don't always have the big team. Some
yes,
some of you guys have really small flower shops or just are on your own. But it's not weak to ask someone, can you help me actually? Or this is
Yeah.
too big for me. I need support. It's not weakness. It's strength to say, I need your help. And together you can be stronger, because you have, for example, access to this client or to this, and the other always wanted to make it as an experience, or it's just a giving, or you have this client but you are not the biggest designer, so you ask someone else to make the design for you, but it's absolutely working for both of you.
yes.
Yeah,
And I think what goes around comes around, you know. So you're never giving too much, because whatever you're giving in one shape or form, it will come back to you. Maybe not the same way as you were giving it, maybe in a complete different way and unexpected. But this will maybe not be today or tomorrow, but at one time you will get something back from what you have given at one stage. I firmly believe that this is the truth.
exactly.
And what the guys are always like, how do you get the jobs? How do you get the jobs? I'm not waiting at home that people are contacting me, because people maybe don't know me. Maybe they don't know that I have time. I'm offering this service or my time for others. actually what I did also with you guys, I contacted you. I told you, hey, hello, this is me. I am here, and this is what I did in all over the world. I'm actually contacting the schools. I'm contacting other event designers. I'm event whatever. I'm telling them, hey, here I am. This is what I can do. Maybe we want to do something together. Some of them never reply. Some of them say no
Exactly.
thanks. And the best thing that happens, they agree with you and say, yeah, let's do something. And from this, I made the very best friendships and connections, because it's just about telling people that you are there. You have to sell your
Yes,
service, a
that
product.
is really very important. And I remember you contacted me years back. I remember that actually years back. And at the
You
time,
were in
we
Dubai. You
couldn't
were in
in
Dubai.
Dubai, exactly. We couldn't work together because there was no possibility to do that. But nonetheless, like I still remember that, and we always said one day, actually, one day we will work together, and now we have that one day actually. Like maybe we can just like go a little bit also towards that idea, which at the moment we do not really know if the time will be still working for all of us, but we have set a date and a time to go and do what.
We are actually doing what I love, what I do with the chrysanthemum. We are going in the fields, visiting the growers, seeing where it's coming from, understanding what's coming from, and we are going in the rose fields in Kenya
Yes.
to the
Exactly.
beautiful scented roses. I mean, just imagine you are going on a field full of scented roses. The sun is burning down. You have this aroma around of you, cutting your own flowers, working then in Africa. I mean, I'll just because it's Africa. I mean, Africa for the rest of us is really like wow, and then designing together with us something really great. Having this dinner experience with the sun going down. I just can imagine how great it is, and then going on the safari actually to see all the animals. I mean, that's a lifetime experience. And after, to be honest, after lockdown for so many weeks, I really want to go out there.
Yeah, we really need that. We really need that. So everybody is waiting for the next flights, actually. And honestly saying, we have done this like last year. We had people from almost all over the world, from Europe, from Asia, from Africa. And it was an amazing group. We had such a lot of fun. We organized almost the whole like journey for everyone. Only everyone needed to look after their own flights to get there. And we want people to experience two things: to experience Africa, because Africa is such a wonderful continent, and a lot of people are scared, and they don't know a lot about Africa. They might know about animals, or they might know about like what they heard about crime or things like that. But we want to give them actually an experience working with the most beautiful flowers that are grown in Kenya. And Kenya and Ecuador are actually the countries with the most flower exports in the world. So the Kenyan people work really hard. The flower growing there is on high standards. We have just talked actually like a week ago, right, to Tim Hobbs, the owner of Tambuzi Farm, where we are going, and he also explained how environmental friendly they work, what awards they have won. So it's really something that we can happily share with everyone. And honestly saying, as you already mentioned, that the cherry on the cake is to have this dinner in the rose field. It was a little bit a weird idea when we started that, and actually the farm wanted us.
I love it.
Yeah, they wanted us to have actually a dinner in a hotel or something. I said, no, we don't want to have a dinner in a hotel. We want to have a dinner right here in the middle of your rose
Be
farm.
real,
And it
yes.
was like a bit like, really? And we said, really, we want to have that.
And they supported us really with that idea. And by the end of the day, it was just amazing. I mean, to really sit in between the rose bushes left, right, center, wherever you are like looking, you have those amazing scented roses around you. You have a table which you have basically just decorated yourself. You were cutting, as you said, you were cutting the roses that were used for the table arrangement. And it's just such a pure joy, like to sit there, to hear African music in the background that was really like done from the farm workers as well. It was 100% authentic experience. And
And I
think
want to meet the monkeys because I haven't met the monkey, and I want to meet the monkeys.
we are trying to be ambassadors as well for a continent that we have embraced in our hearts.
And which actually give us the possibility to work in a very special way, and to achieve what we might not had achieved in another part of the world, because it's here to give us these opportunities.
We always say we are Europeans by birth but Africans by heart, and whoever we can invite like to just experience this part of Africa that we love so much, we are honored if they come and if they like go back and they are also like ambassadors for Africa and just tell people, wow, the people are amazing, they are warm, the country, the flowers, the animals, it's just a whole different world that we try to open for people in a really safe way, because they can trust that we are not taking them anywhere where they're not safe.
When we go to the Mara, for example, because you also said that after the flower experience, we go to the Masai Mara for the real safari. Actually, that's why we call it Rose Safari. Like, even if you have been in Africa and you have seen maybe an elephant or you have seen a giraffe, to see these animals in a whole field of hundreds of like elephants or giraffes, this is something like, it's unbelievable. You get goosebumps, you never forget that, and that's why we invite everyone to come with you and us in October, beginning of October, as far as we can travel all again, to have this experience.
Yes, we're gonna cross our fingers. But if not, we can just make sure we're gonna postpone. We're not gonna cancel.
No, we are not gonna cancel it.
But I mean, just going on a safari is, I mean, on everybody's bucket list. And what we've learned from Corona, everything is coming different, and from one day to the other, it hits you like this. And it can be illness, it can be like something in family, it can be anything. So what I've learned to live much more intense and do much more the things I really want to do, and I really go forward. I'm not waiting for something, because what are we waiting for? Waiting for to be old, to have the good days done. So for me, I just realized, now's the time I do everything I always wanted to do, and I start those things, because it's not worth to wait for anything. And I mean, you already came up with a safari before, but if you wouldn't have done it, I would have said, okay, I have to do it now because this is on the top of my bucket list, because that's an experience. And if to combine flowers, Africa, safari, the roses, going on a farm, for me, the highlight in Aalsmeer is every single time going on the farms and seeing and understanding where it's coming from. I had the greatest experience in the tulip breeders, to understand, or the hyacinths, to see like they're taking the whole bulb out and screwing them out of the bulb, so you can't use the bulb anymore. Or if I see the viburnum who's carried on a boat just in the glass houses and carried on the boat back, it's like so much story behind. And to understand the value, the quality, also understand the price, because if you see how much work it is to grow those things, you will never ask for a price again or to get it cheap. But everybody of us who's listening now has some Kenyan roses in the shop, I bet with you, because this is where it's coming from. But actually meet the people now is something great. And what I've heard from the group last year, it was also great for the growers and those people working there, to see those people who are working with their products, how they are in love with their products and what you actually can do, because people working on a product or in a production never know what's going on and what's in the mind of the people buying their products. So bringing those together, I mean, this is a big chance and experience. Absolutely.
It was actually, to be quite honest, when we also brought, like last year, also designers to the farm. For the people at the farm, it was also the first time that they saw what do designers actually do with their flowers, because usually they just cut, they maybe just harvest, they maybe just are in the production line, but they never really see what are people doing with their flowers. So when we had the table in the rose fields, the next morning, like they invited all the staff to actually have a look at this table in the rose field, because
and
for
they
them,
were smiling and they said, wow, what are you have done here?
yes,
Actually,
because for them usually it's just a piece of like what
It's
they
a product,
do
yes, it's a
for their
product.
work, but to see the beauty of what can be created out of those flowers, it also on the other like side, like gave them a complete different appreciation again also for their own work, like what other people can actually do with the flowers that they are harvesting. So that was really a humbling experience.
No,
And what we also
can't
want
wait,
to do is
actually.
sustainability. We no oasis at all. We are using all different techniques, but no oasis. To have something recyclable, something not producing any waste, which is lasting.
That is very cool. I love that.
Sustainable. I think that's a general also, like, I don't even want to call it trend, but I think people realize much more like the importance of sustainability and accountability, like also within the floral industry, and that we have to somehow give back and not just only take, like from the resources. So I think that is going to be like generally something that is evolving over the next months and year. I mean, it started also pre-COVID, but I think just now everyone really understands as well how valuable like the earth is, you know, and the resources that we have.
Yes, and the skies are clean, the animals are coming back, and just within a few weeks. So imagine if we continue a colloquial program over a few years, how good this...
How we can change the world again.
How we can change the world,
That's amazing.
This is almost like a final. I just wanted to finally make a little announcement, because we've been asked. So Timo is not going to get married to Elfie, because people asked if this picture that we actually promoted, if this is like your girlfriend, and we said no, it is not. They just met in Dubai and they had a very good time, and that's why this is the picture, right?
Yes.
I have to admire, I'm already married. I'm so sorry. I got married in Las Vegas on the strip, and I had silk flowers on my wedding.
Although I would love to marry you if you were free.
But this is how rumors actually start, you know, like, I mean, like, we really had a very funny time when we read that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. We'll make a really good
you are a very nice,
and she's a really good dance partner, I have to say.
I'm sorry, say it again.
You're a really good dance partner.
Ah, yes, yeah, we like we can make Africa dance again. No, send our regards to your partner. Thank you so much for coming on here with us. It was really lovely. It was
every time again.
Yes, it was refreshing to hear also your thoughts on the industry, on and to hear your story. I just wish you like lots of joy working now with your chrysanthemums in the back and just create something amazing.
And I will definitely promote that. Maybe hopefully we get a special prize for this, so then we actually promote even bigger
to Africa.
Yeah,
so let's bring
Africa.
Timo Bolte's chrysanthemums to Africa.
I will.
And and I mean, we're looking for our rose safari that is scheduled for the beginning of October, but I mean, we might need to change it. But if anyone is interested to join us, they must contact us. There is also a Facebook page and an Eventbrite page where you can find much more information about it. You can book already. So yeah, let's just see how it goes.
If somebody wants to book him.
And if someone wants to book Timo Bolte, where can they find more information about you, Timo?
It's on Instagram or just the homepage, info@teamobolte.com. It's just easy.
Okay.
Or just on Google.
Perfect. Okay.
I might have a final question. One final question.
Yes.
What was actually like the biggest challenge working like in the Middle East? Because I know this is what I wanted to ask before. The arrangements are huge actually for the events there. So what was for you the biggest challenge there?
We had one really big wedding last June, with like 3,500 guests. So it was about like 3 kilometer tables, and we were working nearly 100 people, 10 days on the flowers. And the challenge is the heat outside, and the tent inside was 16 degrees. And then keeping the delivery constantly, that the flowers are always cool, that they are not standing in the heat, that the flowers are available when you need them, and they are not too long in the sun. So this is the biggest challenge for us, because flowers can have some heat, flowers can have the cold, but getting them from heat to cold to heat to cold, that's
Yeah.
really, really challenging. And also preparing them 10 days in advance, you have to know what flowers you can use before, what flowers you can add 5 days before, what flowers you have to add on the very last day. That's always the biggest challenge. For example, working in the Middle East, most of the in Lebanon, many weddings are in the gardens. And when you have the sun burning on the flowers and you're installing them on the lunchtime and the wedding is in the evening, most flowers are already dead by 4 or 5 o'clock. And that's a really big challenge every single time. And also to educate then the clients to say, well, this white hydrangea is not going to be working all the day in the sun.
Yeah.
And the phalaenopsis you love, well, we can make them, but not only, we need to prepare a base, because I can only add the phalaenopsis an hour before the event. And to make this arrangement takes 3 hours. So this combination is not working. So I can add some phalaenopsis the hour before, but I can't make it all to keep the quality level up. And in this case, you really have to educate the clients to say, quality is more important, and I can't deliver everything I want. That's always the biggest challenge, especially in the Middle East, because Middle East is like, I want it, I get it.
Yes, I pay for it, you make it.
Yeah, but we remember that white hydrangea stories. We also had like struggles with this.
I absolutely love hydrangea, but not on an outside wedding, just inside. It's not going to be
And
working.
I think by the end of the day, people also need to understand that they're hiring an expert and a professional for professional advice. No matter where in the world they are, you know, I mean, you're going to a tailor to get a suit because you cannot do it yourself the way like how you maybe like could do it when you do it yourself. So the same thing as when you're going to hire a florist or a floral designer in to do your wedding, they are there to advise you best of what is possible. And I think that is something that sometimes is not because we don't want, it's because we just want the best outcome for the event to advise, like whether maybe a certain flower is not to be used, or maybe to give an alternative to say rather this than this. It will give you the same texture more, maybe, but it will just be much more suitable for what you're looking for and what the environment like is like. That is I think just something that a lot of people should like really appreciate also more, that we don't do something because we don't want, we just want the best look for ourselves, you know. I mean, it's not in our interest to see like floppy hydrangeas, like I don't know, 3 kilometers floppy hydrangeas on a table.
It's just the nightmare itself.
It's a nightmare yes, for anyone.
I mean, I'm not the best example right now because it's this is self-made. But normally, also when I go to the hairdresser, I tell him just do what you want, because you know my hair better. I can't tell you like I want this and it's not going to be working. Or whenever I have the chance, I just tell the people like my idea, and then they gonna make the best out of it. Oh, when I go in a restaurant and tell the cook like, when you ask me how do you want it, it was like, well, I tell you I like the beef with some sides, but you know how to make it. You know how long it has to be in the oven. You know what's matching best. So it's their profession, and this also the florist is. You have learned it, and just trust some people. I hate those brides who are always like, I want this and this and this, and you're like, this is not working, and they are not listening to you, because we are not the ones who want them, make them unhappy. We want actually to please them, and there are always reasons behind. And it's also when you import the flowers, you can say I can deliver this and this, but then this and this conditions. I remember we were talking about a wedding next year, and I asked you, can we fly it in or can we get it with a boat because it's cheaper? And you were like, no, I'm not sending it with a boat because it's taking too long and we can't cool it down. And we're like, okay, absolutely. So I pay more for the shorter flight rather than having a bad quality on the boat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Timo, I mean, we already talked almost an hour. The time is just flying, actually.
Absolutely.
So we wish you a wonderful time. Stay safe and be creative, and let us actually smile with your wonderful new chrysanthemums. And I really hope we can inspire people to work also with a little bit old-fashioned, new-fashioned flowers.
Absolutely.
So that's actually the new trend.
Back to basics.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. Keep
Thank you
well,
for having
stay
me.
safe, and all the very best. See you soon,
Thank
Timo.
you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.